Now let's talk about Kansas. They're 3-6. They're 2-4. They have wins over Houston and Iowa State. And they've got losses: West Virginia, TCU, Arizona State, and Kansas State.
They have close losses. They haven't won a game on the road this year.
And they played good the other night.
Yeah.
But they were playing at Arrowhead where they played their home games.
Right. Jeff Grimes was their offensive coordinator, former BYU coach, former Baylor offensive
Does that
coordinator.
matter? Does that mean something?
No, it doesn't really
I
make that
wasn't
much
sure
difference.
if it would.
They have a very talented quarterback. You and I have, been very impressed with Jalen Daniels. 6 feet, 220 pounds. So he's a really sturdy, shorter kind of a guy. This year's completion percentage is down. So one of his lowest careers, 56% this year, 13 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He makes plays with his feet. He looks to throw it downfield, but he scrambles around and he causes breakdowns in the secondary. And he makes big plays, what we would say off schedule. So you got to keep him in the pocket. Devin Neal is one of the best running backs in this league. 5'11", 215-pound running back. 874 yards, a 5.9 yard average. He also has 16 receptions. He's really good out of the backfield. So they're very dynamic offensively because of those two guys.
I don't know why they've not won so many games.
I thought that they'd be competing for a championship this year, mainly because of those two guys, but they just haven't been as good up front on offense.
Yeah. And defense, the teams have scored at will. Iowa State just ran out of time.
Yep.
Yeah, they were scoring plenty of points.
Yeah, and so it'll be a fun game. Very different than the Utah game was a battle of two great defenses, and BYU's offense wasn't quite up to snuff. BYU's defense wasn't as good as they have been in the first half, but were really good. All in all, they held Utah to like 250 yards or 260 something yards of total offense. So they had a great game.
How about Dirk Palmer from North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, coming in on the Wise guys?
Have we had South Carolina?
We have, but we haven't had a North Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, and I love Myrtle Beach. Growing up in upstate New York, I would head down to Myrtle Beach.
Connor Pay's expected to be back.
Yes.
Braden Keim is not expected to be back this week.
But Braden Keim's expected to be back. We're hearing
at some point.
We're hearing that he'll be back this season.
It's not season ending.
Yeah.
It looked awful.
The game is at 8:15, as you mentioned, Dave, on ESPN National Television. So our game day show will start at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. That's on BYU TV and on ESPN Plus. So make sure you tune in for that. Dave and I will be coming over from the basketball game that we had just called.
Yeah, pace yourself. You're going to get a lot of us.
Get a little break, and then we'll be calling the pregame. So
post games on BYU TV late Saturday night for you on the East Coast. That's an early Sunday morning. The Cougars are going to come out with a royal helmet, the royal shirt, white pants with the royal trim. That's going to pop on TV.
I like that look, especially at night. So
the weather forecast as we sit here on Monday: partly cloudy, a high of 40 for the day.
Yikes!
A low of 24. So morning snow, clearing, so it'll be clear and cool at night. So we're thinking we're going to be in the low 30s for kickoff.
Did you talk to Kevin about this? Because he's usually right on.
I haven't, but I will.
You need to call him.
But
we're talking about
but
Kevin
it's from
Eubank.
his app. That's from his weather app.
Okay, and we trust Kevin.
Yeah, and so anyway, it's going to be chilly. Vegas has BYU as a 3.5-point favorite, which is interesting because home field advantage is usually about 3 points. So it basically Vegas is saying, yeah, this is pretty close to being a toss-up. That BYU hasn't had Vegas's respect all year long, and that's okay. We don't really care about Vegas. But it's been interesting that they've been so wrong on so many things because they're usually pretty right.
Yeah, BYU has been, what are they? All but 2 games they've covered the spread and then some. Yeah. So Conrad Monson says, how do you expect Connor Pay to play in his return?
I don't know.
And hey, good point by Michael Zimmerman. Utah did not score in the first, third, and fourth quarters. Only in the second quarter.
That's right.
Had that big second quarter. So good point.
Yeah. And we don't know how Connor's going to do.
Connor's a very cerebral player. So one of the big advantages is to have him back in there. And Bruce is also really smart, Mitchell. But Connor's been there and seen so many things. He's just a stabilizing force in there with all the calls. I expect Mitchell to start at guard. He's been so good, I expect him to start.
He got a little rattled in that rivalry game. Freshman center. A couple of times the ball moved and there was a penalty where there was a discombobulation.
Crazy noise.
All over the place, but that was a true freshman center.
Well, and here's the other thing that was happening. Crazy noise, late substitutions, Utah doing the stall technique, and then all of a sudden, he's making the call, and Jake's back there clapping, like, give me the ball. There's 2 seconds left on the play clock. And both times where they had that snap violation were when the play clock was winding down.
Yeah, everyone was just out of sorts.
Yeah, and BYU, they've got to be better at that. But they're not going to be in that kind of environment again the rest of the year.
Third meeting. It's the first time Kansas has ever been to Provo. The Jayhawks lead the series 2-0. They won last year, if you recall, in the Big 12 opener, 38-27. They had 2 defensive turnovers, 4 touchdowns.
Terminal turnovers, yeah.
That was a tough one. But we are now ready for Blaine's keys to beating Kansas on Saturday night.
Yes.
Number 1.
I am going to say keep Daniels in the pocket and mix up the pressures to keep him off balance. It's the Noah Fafita plan. It's the Arizona plan because he's a similar kind of quarterback, mobile, hurts you more outside the pocket than him. So you keep him in the pocket, you mix up pressure and drops, so you keep him off guard, but you don't let him get outside and make plays.
Okay.
Number 2, win the turnover battle. Last year they gave away 2 touchdowns directly on turnovers. That's the way you keep an underdog in a game, by doing that. So they just need to win the turnover battle, B+, just like they have been. And then sustain drives and score touchdowns in the red zone. So when you get these drives down the field, first of all, you don't have to score on every single drive. It would be nice. But move the football, get first downs. When you punt, play field position. But when you get it down to the red zone, score touchdowns and don't settle for field goals. Then you win this game going away.
Those are Blaine's keys to beating Kansas. Should be a full house, and the house will need to be rocking because, it is cold. You know what? I don't like being cold, but this is a chance to get to 10-0.
Let's pack 65,000 more warm bodies in that stadium. It'll be much better.
Thank you for watching The Wise Guy.
If you like what you're watching, you can help us out by subscribing and hitting that notification button.